Alright, so we are now in North Dakota, about 45 miles west of Bismarck, maybe 40. We're doing about 75 here. I want to point out a couple things that have changed since we crossed in from Montana. The thing I'm noticing, we're still seeing the same basic terrain of these rolling hills. This area is not flat. The rivers at various distances from us create enough of a gradient through their erosive processes that we get erosion of these hills at unequal rates. Second thing I want to point out is the hills are getting greener. We had mostly brown grass at the Montana border. Now it's looking substantially greener. Yes, those south-facing hillsides are a bit browner than the ones facing north, but this is indicating that we're getting a little bit higher rainfall. We're sort of slowly approaching the 100th meridian, sort of a dividing line where west of which you're in the steppe. Definition of steppe being the area that experiences higher rates of evaporation than precipitation on an average year. And I wish I knew precisely where that we cross it here, but it seems to basically be the run up and down at least the U.S. Third thing I want to talk about here is, when we're talking about location, is where is the center of North America? We're on a continent. Our original plan had been to stop in Rigby, South Dakota, or North Dakota, where there is a monument to the center of North America. This monument's not the actual geographic center, however, at least as determined by the most precise mechanism. This was someone who took a cardboard cutout of the North American landmass, used a pin to balance it as carefully possible, and noted that the pin happened to be sticking in about Rigby, North Dakota. That's not a bad way to measure the balance of things, but all quirks of Earth's curvature, the geoid, and improvements of technology since that simple experiment is done allow us to measure the center of the continent a lot more readily, a lot more easily by basically comparing how far away the various coastlines are and which places furthest from all the coastlines. And that center is a town coincidentally named Center, North Dakota, and it's about 20 miles north of where we are. So this is about as central in we can possibly get here in North America. We could drive to Center, but it's about 45 minutes out of the way, and we're trying to make it to pretty deep into Minnesota by the end of the day, so we're going to skip that little excursion. Also, we have some business in Bismarck, so that's not going to happen, but yeah. So those are my thoughts. A little bit about the climate here. Everybody talks about how it gets really cold in the winter. We're effectively in the American Siberia. In fact, the Köppen climate classification system places North Dakota in the same climate zone as much of central Siberia. Now, there are places in Siberia that get even colder, but there have been many days during the last winter, couple winters, where the coldest place anyone bothered to stick a thermometer out the window was somewhere in North Dakota. So, yes, the fact that we're in the middle of the continent, that continentality, and how cold it gets during the winter, and the high seasonal variation, it's supposed to be in the 90s tomorrow here, in temperatures, are all related. Land has a much lower heat capacity than does water. So when the sunlight strikes the land absorbs the energy, and the temperature changes very rapidly. Air, if you recall some other videos, gets most of its temperature from contact with the Earth's surface, so the land will heat up the air around it as well. Whereas on the coast, on the ocean with much higher heat capacity, may absorb the same amount of sunlight, but change temperature much more slowly. So you're definitely seeing a moderation of climate near the coast and very wild swings in temperature here deep in the North American interior. Now, there are places that get colder on average further north, but is the place that often gets the lowest low for that radiative balance issue. So, all right, cool. I'm trying to pass one doing about a mile per hour faster than me, and it's not working out. It's working out about as well as I think it would. So, all right, thanks everyone.